It is the 13th of May, which means in the United States, with the way we do our dates, it's 5/13, and 513 is the original area code of Cincinnati. So we have claimed today a Cincinnati Day. If you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, well, actually, I don't think it went on Instagram today, but if you follow me on Facebook, I made a couple posts about that, and I love today. It's interesting because I've always thought about living somewhere else, and in the past year, the Hubs and I were actually, it was about a little over a year ago. It was during not this year's football season, but last year's. We were out of town and in another sports city. And literally every team we root against, they were rooting for. So it was really weird being in a pub where nobody was rooting for, quote, our teams. So it was a really interesting thing to think, nobody roots for who we root for. And I do know, because of the teams that we root for, that there actually are places all over the country where people do root for who we root for, but it's not prevalent like it is here. So it was just an interesting thing, to be honest, to deal with that. But today we are making what is quintessentially the Cincinnati dish, which is Skyline Chili. What we call Skyline, everybody else calls it Cincinnati Chili. So, hey, Christy. Sorry, I got something on my face, like a stray hair or something. But anyway, oh, goodness. All right. So, we are going to start by chopping up 2 onions. And I had hoped to get a jump on that, but, best laid plans, right? I'll put this guy to the side for a second. But anyway, so, and here's a fun fact. I have never made homemade Skyline Chili. And there's a reason for that. Because as you saw, I had a package of it. It's so easy to get here. We can go to the restaurant. We can get it in grocery stores. It's one of those things. It's like, it's everywhere. Why would I bother, right? So I've never made it, but we're going to make it today. And I found what I think is very close from what I've gathered are the ingredients. So we're going to do that. And hey, IT guy, for all the things that I remembered, and there's a laundry list of ingredients for Cincinnati type or Skyline Chili, whatever we want to call it today. I need some olive oil, please. The one thing I forgot. So we're going to dice up some onion very fine. And also, I was trying to make a smaller batch of this because I have so many leftovers, you guys, from when I cook for you. And even cooking for my family, because so many of these recipes we would normally eat and then a couple days later have the leftovers. But since I'm cooking, I don't have a lot of I have so many leftovers anymore. And I freeze a lot of it, but and I get some away. But Monday I made turtle soup, and I've had turtle soup for lunch for 2 days, and I still have probably 2 days left. So I will probably run that down to one of my sister-in-law's house. She will not eat it. I know that for a fact. But her husband and her brothers, who live there with her, they will probably eat it. So, and if they don't want it, I will bring it back home. It's not really good. I don't think it's going to be a good soup to to freeze. And what was interesting is my husband, he's like, I don't know if I like this or not, because um, it was a bit citrusy for him with those 3 little lemon slices in there. It just made it feel a little sour to him. It also has had vinegar in it, and I think next time what I would do if I make turtle soup again, I would use apple cider vinegar, which I hadn't really thought about when I tasted it. It tasted good, but then when I sat down and actually ate the entire bowl of it, it was one of those things where you're like, oh, I would change this. So, okay. Hello, and thanks for coming in. I don't want to can you phonetically tell me how to say your name? Because I don't want to mess it up for you. I've learned how to ask people to repeat because there were a lot of, my kids went to school with a lot of kids who were not born here or their parents were not born here. So they had non-American names, and I learned very quickly to ask them to share their name with me again, or how to spell it or how to say it. And power first. And then we're going to put it on saute. I'm still learning how to use this. This is my Ninja cooker. Okay, so that's the temp. Nope, I didn't want to stop it. Sorry, guys. All right, we're just going to leave it at that. We're going to toss in some olive oil, and we actually need two onions, but I'm going to toss the first one in there and let it get started a little bit, because we have a lot of spices to add in. Cincinnati chili, which is, it was started by Greeks. It is a Greek type of chili. We have many, and I think I told you guys about it before, but we have many Greek restaurants that are, and even the ones that don't have Greek food, they are often our diner type places are owned, or what we call chili parlors are owned by Greek families. I actually worked for one for a while. They had a restaurant and there was a small bar attached to it, and I was a bartender there for about a year. It was a fun job. I really enjoyed it. But like I said, a lot of those families, we have a rather, it's interesting. You don't really notice it. It's not like it's prevalent that we have a fairly large Greek population. And what's interesting is they all seem to know each other, which is funny. So there is a Greek Orthodox church here in town, and it's a large church, and they all go to that church. So literally one of the best, if you can eat gluten, it's one of the best festivals. And that is something we are very much known for in this area, is our festivals. Every church used to have a festival when I was a kid. That was literally how we would kind of measure summer that way, because we knew what weekend each church would have their festival. And one church kicked it off every summer, and then we went all through the summer, and then we knew when it was getting close to a different church's weekend, that would be the end of that. So, and I went to a large high school. I was the smallest class in 10 years, and there were 789 of us. And when I was in high school, we counted one time, And I believe we counted 10 or 11 Catholic church feeder schools. So we had a lot of German Catholics in our city. Still do, actually. A lot. And we have, I think there's at least 2, possibly 3, and there used to be 4 German societies. So, which means we have at least 3. Let's say we've got Kolping, we've got Donnerschwaben. I think they're the only 2 left, Kolping and Donnerschwaben, and they both have Oktoberfests, and then the city has an Oktoberfest in September. So we like our festivals a lot. So that's kind of a Cincinnati thing. If anybody ever thought about it, we're not a destination city in the sense that places like New York and LA are, but I will tell you, if you have a family and you want to do something really family, like take a family-friendly vacation that's not going to cost you a bloody fortune, this is a good place to go. We have one of the best zoos in the country. We flip often with San Diego, and we have one of the 2 most famous hippos in the world. I would say there's a new one, Mars, out in Kansas City, but then we have Fiona. She is the smallest regular hippo, not pygmy hippo, that has survived in captivity. She was a preemie. And what was really cool, and it may be because of COVID, but she was born during COVID, and she just kind of became a worldwide sensation. And our children's hospital, which is one of the top 3 children's hospitals in the country, sent over one of their NICU teams she was dehydrated, and they sent over a team. This is a clove of garlic, by the way. They sent over a team to help put an IV in for her because they were having trouble. The staff was having trouble because she was so dehydrated getting it in. And so one of our NICU teams from pediatrics went over and helped them find a vein. So that was really cool. But she is her adult size. But she's still much smaller. She looks like a teenage, what you would call a teenage hippo. She will forever be small, so she will not be able to reproduce because it would kill her to do so. But that's a pretty cool thing. We've got white tigers. Something we've always done really well at breeding in captivity is white tigers. We also do very well with gorillas. We have a whole habitat for our gorillas. They're not in cages. That's also something we work on a lot, is trying to recreate the habitats for the animals. And a lot of our animals are with us because we have like rotating manatees, because they bring in injured manatees to us. Then our zoo team rehabs, and then they're released back into the wild. So sometimes we don't have, you might come here and we have 0 manatees because we don't have any, because that's why we're good at rehabbing them. So it's really kind of cool. We're one of the breeding zoos for endangered species, especially. So they'll bring them here because they kind of know what they're doing over there. I am sorry, I still have that stray whatever hair it is that's driving me nuts. All right, so here's something that kind of blows people's mind. But if you've ever made a mole, it's not going to... Interesting. I didn't realize that. We've got 4. So we currently have 4 hippos. one is going to have to go. Fiona has a brother. His name is Fritz. And Fritz and Fiona were both, their father is Tucker. Well, no, Fiona's is not. Her father passed, Henry, unexpectedly. He had not been sick. Nobody knows why his heart gave out, but it did. But we now have Tucker and we have Fritz. And the thing is, you can't keep two adult males generally. They will start fighting. So for the female. And since the only female that, and apparently there is, believe it or not, there's birth control for hippos. So either Fritz or Tucker is going to have to go at some point, which is really sad because everybody loves the family, if you will. Okay, so here is the thing about Cincinnati chili, and like I said, if you've made mole, this won't be as weird to you as anyone else, but most of our recipes have cocoa in them. I know it's bizarre to a lot of people, but it is part of what gives it its richness. Now, the owners of Skyline swear there's no chocolate in their chili, but most of the recipes I know, and I trust this one that I'm adapting, call for cocoa. So we are adding cocoa to it. 3 tablespoons worth. So we're gonna rinse that off. Forgot to do the sink full of water again. That actually has been very helpful the last couple of days. So we also have a memorial to this animal as well. We were the last zoo to have a passenger pigeon, I think they were called. It's one type of pigeon that used to be ubiquitous. It was across the country. They were everywhere. And now they're extinct because they were hunted into extinction, sadly. So I'm going to stir that cocoa in. It's an odd smell to smell onions and cocoa and garlic. I've never made a mole, so like I said, if you've made one, it's probably not weird to you. But yes, it is weird to me. And we're putting them in one by one because we want to bloom the spices. So next, all right, that's twice it's fallen. Hang on. Ooh. Now I gotta wash it. I tried to put them all together so I would make it easier for myself, and the one just keeps falling off. So I'm gonna move it and I'm gonna put it right here so hopefully it doesn't fall. I also got I have extra of the tablespoon ones because when I make certain things, I need several tablespoons of different things, and I don't want to have cross contamination, if you will. So we need 2 tablespoons of chili powder here. Alrighty. There are, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe it how many different spices we have here. It's a lot. I bet you didn't put cocoa in your pizzas, though. So what kind of pizzas did you make? Do you, I assume do you do like do you do the really thin crust, or do you do like what we would call a hand toss, like a medium type crust on your pizzas? And do you just make like the crust and then make the pizzas later? I'm curious. I always want to know. So we're going to make gluten-free brownies next week. Next week is going to be road trip snacks because it is almost road trip season, and I think there's a lot of people who will be we'll be road tripping this year because it's really expensive to travel. Okay. Where's my other one? I should have one more tablespoon. And it's missing. Okay, well, I'll grab this guy then. And wipe it out. I don't need it for this one, I don't think. I think I need 1.5 teaspoons of the cinnamon. So here's another thing that's unique to Cincinnati chili. 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now, if you do Indian cooking, you know that they use cinnamon in savory dishes all the time. Again, adds a depth of flavor. 1.5. But yeah, a lot of the spices in this chili are spices that I know a lot of people typically use in like Christmas cookies and stuff like that. You know, when we spice things a little more in the winter times because you want all those warm spices. So nice non-crust. Cool. I like that. So here was a fun conversation we had today. I had this with my IT guy. We were talking. Oh, he's going to have to tell me what the name was. But it's basically where we double up words. So it was in a group chat of his. They were talking about chai tea and whether chai tea was okay or should it just be called chai. So then the conversation turned to all the other ways we do it, like scuba gear, even though the scuba is actually an anagram of several words, and I don't know what they all are, but chai tea, non-bread, you know, people are like, no, it's bread. Non means bread. So, but that some words start to get accepted like that, and there were a whole list of them we went through that he shared with me, and it was kind of a fun conversation. So, all right, so where do we leave off? Cinnamon. Next up is allspice. I have them all set so I know which direction in case I get distracted like I just did. So next comes allspice, and we need 3/4 tablespoon. So I'm going to do a half, and a quarter. I could have done 3/4 teaspoons, but you know, what fun would that be, right? All right, so 3, half, and a quarter to get 3/4 teaspoon. All right. Dang. Itchy face. Itchy face today. And I'm going to wipe this out. But since their profiles are similar, I've got allspice, and now I've got cloves. A little bit of cloves. So like I said, a lot of spices. Now we're not done with the depth of flavor, I can tell you that much. Okay. We're going to need a couple more of these, so welcome in, Diane. Thank you for telling me where you're watching from. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. We call today Cincinnati Day because it's May 13th, so 513, which is our area code. So we are making the quintessential Cincinnati dish, which is Cincinnati chili, or what we call it Skyline most of the time because most people know what that means. But so we're making that. We've got our onions in here. We just put all of our spices in. So let's see, Baltimore, Maryland. Let's talk food for Baltimore. We're talking crabs, and I can't remember. Is it stone crabs that you guys have that are so good? and beef dip sandwiches, right? Tell me what else. Did I get that right? And if I didn't, correct me. So, okay, the next thing we need. Okay, so here's the deal. This calls for 2 pounds of ground beef. I was going to cut it in half. I was just going to do 1 pound. I could not make any recipe that I looked at, no matter how I worked it. So, I happen to have some chicken thawed, so I'm going to do half beef, half chicken. You can actually get Skyline made with ground chicken instead of ground beef. So we're going to go halfway. Now, a lot of recipes call for chicken stock. Because I'm using the chicken, I'm going to use beef stock. So, all that to say, that's why I'm using beef stock. If you look at some other recipes, you'll see that a lot of them will say chicken stock. But that's why we're going beefy on the stock. So, oh yeah, that really bloomed up the spices too. I got them stirred up. I can smell the cloves. Yeah. The chocolate's really kind of a non-issue at this point. So the cocoa. So you can also use unsweetened chocolate. I didn't have any. Oh, this itchy nose is driving me crazy, man. Okay, so we've got that in there. And then our next thing, pardon the dogs, we have an Amazon order coming. So that might be our Amazon people. It was supposed to be here yesterday, and I set it up for yesterday, but they're coming today. So then 1 can of tomato sauce. I was just saying, I've lived here my entire life, and I've never made it from scratch before. Looks right though so far. Doesn't quite smell right yet, but we have more to add. So, all right. Next, apple cider vinegar. Put you that way so you don't fall in. I need 2 tablespoons. I did something for the first time today that, well, I shouldn't say for the first time. I've pickled vegetables before, but not where it's been like a sweet sour. And I'm putting them in the fridge because I'm hoping when they sit for a little while that the things will meld together a little better, because it was really rather bitter. I wish I had used the apple cider vinegar, but I wanted a clear brine, so I used white vinegar. Oh, it's starting to smell a little bit like Skyline. Okay, next. There we go. All right, I need teaspoons, so I need to clean my teaspoon. 1 teaspoon. Blue crabs, that's what it is. Okay. Ah, corned beef. Okay. I'm well traveled in the United States. I have been to 48 of the 50 states, so all 48 continental United States. And I love this country. It's beautiful. There's nowhere I've been that, well, actually, I take that back. There's one state I've been in. I was like, I don't ever need to go back. Although there is one part of the state I would go back to. When I was a teenager, we drove, I had family in Seattle, and we were coming back from there. My cousin got married when I was a teenager, and we drove from the northwest corner of Montana to the southeast corner of Montana on our way home. It's like driving across Texas, y'all. It's almost as long. It is, and there just was nothing. I mean, it's just all ranch land. So not nothing, but like it's very similar the whole way. And about halfway through the state, I looked at my parents and said, "We ought to give this back to Canada." I know, not very nice, but I was 16. What can you say? It's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. No. Anyway. And now, I don't know what it is, but there's something about Worcestershire sauce. When you put it in dishes, it just amps up the flavor, something amazing. And if anybody from the UK is watching this, it's gluten-free in the United States, just so you know. I've seen those debates online. You can't use that in gluten-free cooking. Yes, you can. So every time I use it, I feel like I got a show that says, see, there's the check mark that says gluten-free. So, all right, other than salt and pepper, which I'm going to go ahead and add some pepper now, I think. It is starting to smell like Skyline. I'll give it that. That's crazy, man. All that stuff. So, like I said, I don't salt things a lot. Some things need salt. Have you ever made gravy and not salted your gravy? Or not, you know, like if you're making a milk gravy and not add salt? I tried that one time. Oh, it was terrible. I was like, what's wrong with this gravy? And then I was like, oh, I didn't add salt. So I went back and started adding salt. And all of a sudden, you know, yes, if you would hit the like, it would be great. If you want to send me a smile, that'd be lovely. Just say a hi. Oh, okay. It's a lot of spices. You can just smell all the spices. All right. And it's looking right. Oh, I'm so excited. All right. So again, which is something I'm figuring out about meat from our area, is that, or dishes that came from what we would call the old days, they don't cook the meat separately. They just cook the meat in there. So it ends up being a one-pot meal. I suppose if you wanted to do it, I'm just doing it the way it told me to. I always try to make something the way it's supposed to be made the first time. You know, the way it calls for it to be made. And then beyond that, I try to kind of make it our own, if you will. But Skyline can be very, very salty, especially the stuff we get at the store. So if I can make a version of it that tastes like Skyline, that doesn't require quite as much salt, I would love that. So, all right, it's looking right. Now, it does need to cook for a little while. And what we're going to do while that is doing its thing is we're going to get ready for how we're going to eat it. And there are several ways to eat Skyline chili. And again, I've made the joke before, so apologies to those who have heard it before, but they even have it on their billboard sometime that one of the jokes in Cincinnati is it's the only place you can take your kids for a three-way, and it's actually a wholesome family thing, because this is what we call our chili concoctions, if you will. Again, I'm gluten-free, so I've got gluten-free noodles here. These are what they call konjac noodles. If you have ever had them and you hated them because of the smell, what I learned is you need to rinse them. And it makes all the difference. And I learned this. I rinse out the bag it came in too, because because it'll make your trash smell if you don't rinse out the bag. But if you rinse out the bag, it'll be fine. So, all right. And I keep a trash bag just out of sight so that I don't have to go to the garbage every time or move my garbage can. So I just put them in a little sieve like this, wash them out. Hey, IT guy, I'm going to need those things. So I know a lot of people know what a Coney dog is, and that is probably the most popular way to eat Skyline, that and the three-way. So he's gonna get me out the goodies. Just talking back. The cheeses are both right there in the drawer. And then he's going to warm up. He actually had some Skyline earlier this week out of the package that I just showed you. Yes, they do have their own cheese. And there's something about the, what do you want to call it? The grind of it or the texture of it that is quintessentially Skyline. So it's a pretty finely grated cheese, but it's so good. And then, did you get out the other one? They don't have it. They don't have this one all the time, but for those of you who like really spicy, they have this. It is a habanero cheddar that they do not have it year round. So my husband loves spicy stuff. So he is, this will be his for dinner. He will have his, and he likes a four-way, what we call four-way. And you can have it two ways. A regular four-way is with finely diced onions, or you can have a four-way bean, which is just with drained kidney beans. And then they put the chili over the beans. So it will go spaghetti, beans, chili, and cheese. That would be your four-way. And a five-way is all of those things together. So, and there are people who are very particular about their stuff. The other thing you can get, I mean, you can do it all kinds of ways. There's what they call inverted. So they put the cheese down, and then they put the chili, and then they put the spaghetti over it. Some people like it that way. And the other thing is this is how you can tell a native from a non-native. They always serve it on an oblong plate. And I used to have some, but we had to get rid of them. They were old, and we figured they probably had lead in them. So we got rid of them. Sorry. But the plate is oblong, okay? And they put it down in front of you. If you don't want to be laughed at and you don't want to be a native, you turn it this way. The other thing is we cut the spaghetti. I know anyone who's Italian, but we cut the spaghetti. So you cut it and you take a bite. You twirl it. We know you're not from here. You eat it this way. We know you're not from here. That's just how we do it. So I need the hot dogs. Yeah. You need a fork? Okay. For those of you who aren't around a lot, that IT guy doesn't talk. He doesn't appear on camera. He doesn't talk on camera. Just something he does not want any part of. I will honor that for him. So that's going to go in the sink as well. And shake this to drain these a little more. You can also take those konjac noodles and you can put them in a, you can put them in a skillet. That's the word I went. Reaching for the words today. So you put it in a skillet and you can warm them up a little bit, and that dries them out a bit. When I'm doing something like chili, I don't really worry about it too much. Give this another stir here real quick. It is just cooking away here, which is awesome. And then I'm just trying to, one of the things about Skyline Chili too is it doesn't, mine's going to be a lot what I would call meatier than a normal chili or than normal Skyline, because it is very, very processed, if you will. And I could probably get out my stick blender and thin it out, which if my family wants me to do that, I will definitely do that. But I will also wait until it's not raging hot to do that. So they'll just have to deal with it a little chunkier than they're used to. So I think I'd like it, yikes, a little bit thicker. So I think what I'm going to do, since it's still boiling even with the lid off, I'm going to leave the lid off for a while so it'll thicken up. You can go ahead and start that. So we're going to show you how to make some conies first. And he's actually got some Skyline. He wants to do a taste test, a side-by-side. Like I said, I don't think this is quite ready yet. It's only got to go about 20 minutes, which is great. But and again, I wish I had the plates to show you guys. If I'd thought about it, I would have gotten one early. I would have gotten one just to show you. But yeah, see, they even show that in a bowl because it's their original chili. All right. Oh, you haven't cooked those yet? He's still warming up the hot dog. He had cooked the hot dogs earlier this week, so all he's got to do is warm them up. So I'm excited. It looks and smells right. Like I said, it's a little, some of the meat is in bigger chunks, but that's kind of to be expected. And I think when they make this, like when the chili parlors make it, I think they actually cook the meat in liquid and then add all the spices, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know for sure. So I've never worked at one. I have a friend who worked at one. She was there. She put herself through college working at a Skyline Chili as a waitress. Not sure you can still do that, but okay. Well, I am gluten-free. My family's not. I do not have any. There are, hot dog buns out there that are gluten-free. We have actually a really good bakery locally. And I need to get out to one of our specialty groceries because they keep all of their stuff in, they have all in the freezer section and I can actually get them. Now, when you go to the restaurant, they have a special hot dog that's made just for them. It's smaller and it fits beautifully on, and he's my family, so I can pick up the hot dog and stick it in there. But recently I was just trying to figure out, because conies are hard to make. They tend to fall apart at home because of all the chili. And somebody said to get the split tops. So we are going to try the split tops this time around. So can I have your chili and I'll make you a coney? Well, that one's not quite ready yet. So by the time I make yours, and hot. So I'm trying to stir it and get it so that all this meat gets broken up, but I'm not sure that's going to happen in time. So oh, that looks so good. Wish I could show you, but then you can see how thin it is. Mine won't be quite that thin. The meat is so small, which is nice when you bite into it. It just kind of moves its way around the coney. And then also, some people get their conies like this. Those people are nuts. Some people like mustard and onions on theirs. IT guy and I do not. We do have one place where he gets a footlong cheese coney locally that if they put onion on it, he doesn't mind. But their onions, I don't know where they get their onions. They're the sweetest onions I have ever seen. So that's kind of what our Coneys look like. And that's how they're served. They're served like that, not on the side like a hot dog. They sit kind of up. But again, there's a bakery that makes them for them specially. There's a local food processing place that makes their hot dogs for them specially. So you can't absolutely recreate the Coneys at home, but you can certainly make it close. So I'm going to give this a taste, see if it's heated up enough. See if it tastes right. That's what I'm really tasting, is to see if it tastes right. So do you have anything like that where you live, where like it's something you've eaten like your whole life, but you don't necessarily make it at home because it's just easier to get it out? Because that's definitely what Skyline is for us. And there's so many different ways to make it, and there's so many different versions of it. And you know, I live in a city called Blue Ash, which is just like a suburb of Cincinnati, actually. We have a place called Blue Ash Chili, and their chili tastes a little different than Skyline. So, there's a taste in that. It's not quite right yet. You know what? Will you get me out some beef concentrate, please? Trying to figure out what the taste is that's not quite right yet. I don't think it needs salt. The beef concentrate. Wait, it's in the door, top row. It's got a green cap on it. I make a, if I do say so myself, I make a phone. He's scaring me. Trying to get all the tastes right. You know how that goes? It's a really complicated, complex set of ingredients, but something tastes a little off. I'm still trying to figure it out. Wash this off. Try that again. And again, it's my family, so I don't know about you guys, but do you throw away a spoon after you taste something, or put it in the dishwasher, or do you just keep tasting it with the same spoon? I don't know. Tell me. Are we weird? Or are we normal? Well, we know we're weird, but... Okay, let's try this. There's something missing. I'll get you a spoonful. Hang on. There's a weird kind of aftertaste in this, which I suspect is the allspice. So, I mean, it's close. It's just not quite there. See what he's got to say. I mean, you can taste a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of allspice, a little bit of cloves. He's going from one to the other, so he might have a better suggestion. Let me try the actual Skyline. So we're not succeeding on this today, which is a bummer. Well, there's definitely a lot more salt. So let me try adding a little bit of salt, see what that does. I didn't think it needed salt, but maybe it does. I think our delivery's here, which I figured would happen while we were on stream. All right. That doesn't grind a lot, so that wasn't as much as that sounded like it was. So, what on the spice? Couldn't read that part. IT guy's handwriting is legendarily bad. So, all right, we're going to try this again. He's got all the spoons over there, so I will get a fresh one. See if adding a little bit of salt helped. If it did, I'm going to add more. Well, part of the too thin is because it's still cooking down, but yeah, there's a sharp spice in there, which is interesting. I think it's the allspice, to be honest. So, all right, I am going to add a little more salt, and I don't want to sit here and grind the sea salt, so I'm going to use some. We'll see if that helps. Yeah, there's something very, very sharp. The cheese will help cut the sharpness, but I'm almost wondering if we shouldn't put a little more of the, if I shouldn't put a little more of the sugar in there, to be honest, to tamp down the really sharpness of the spice. Because that allspice, I can smell that more than anything, which concerns me. So here's where we play. This is where we get to play with it. Because this isn't my recipe. I adapted someone else's. Are there two things there? There was only one box. I hope the other thing's in that box then. So, let's see if I can. You know what? Will you look up for me on your phone how to balance allspice? Try a little bit more of the. That's why I feel like it needs a. Although Skyline is not a sweet chili, but how to balance too much allspice. More broth, meat, or vegetables. Introduce citrus. We have vinegar already. Add dairy or fat. That's interesting. Okay, I did add a little bit of sweetness, so that can. And then it says, pair with things like rice, potato, or bread to absorb the flavor. So hopefully that will do something to help it as well. All right, let's see. I don't think the acid's going to help because we already have vinegar in there. So I would definitely tone down the allspice next time. And it is getting thicker, so that's good. See if that broth is a little better now. Okay. You know what? This is why I do this, because this is real life. We try stuff. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, we got to try to figure out how to fix it, you know? That actually helped. It's not as sharp, but you want to try it? It's not as bad. It's still sharp, but I'm almost positive it's the allspice that's the problem. Which is interesting because one of the recipes that I saw called for 35 allspice, whole allspice. I was like, that's a lot of allspice. So that's why I went with this instead, because it was a lot less and it's still a lot of allspice. So getting to the right consistency now too. Do you think that's better than it was? He's given me 6 of one, half dozen of the other kind of a look. Okay, I have a really weird idea, and I know this isn't part of the recipe, but I wonder if we put the refried beans from the other night, if that would smooth it out a little bit. You don't like that idea, huh? Okay, he doesn't like that idea. I think we need to turn this down to like a simmer. All right, just turned it down. Put it on a slow cook so it'll turn it down. Because it is basically done, but I do want to definitely play with it. So, yeah, there is. Do you think maybe we need more? You know what? Give me the tomato paste. See if there's a tube. If there's not, there's one in the pantry. Maybe we'll try that. Because the recipe that I adapted actually called, it would be in the right-hand drawer, excuse me. And it would be in the middle. I think I used it up though. I think we need to get a new one out. It called for 16 ounces, but I wouldn't think an ounce of tomato sauce would make that much of a difference, but who knows? It called for 16, a can is 15. I didn't want to open a second free. Thanks, Zelda, I appreciate that. It's in a box, green box, straight back. No, not that one. If not, there's a tube downstairs, the Cento. Great. I'm telling you, I used to buy cans of tomato paste, and then somebody turned me on to the tubes. Oh my goodness, they are so they're so much easier, and you can get yourself just a little tablespoon. So that was the other thing. Yeah, the dairy was what they suggested to take that out. I might do that, put that in a little bowl and add a little dairy and see if that. I'm going to try the tomato paste first, see if I can just get the whole thing a little more mellow, if you will. But because yeah, I can smell it too. I can smell the allspice. And it was three-quarters of a teaspoon, which is what I put in there. So, of course, it could be the combination of the allspice and the cloves as well, that it's that pungent, if you will. So now that it's settled down, let's see what we got here. And I've added the extra salt, and I added some of the sweetness. It's getting better. It's still not right, but it's getting better. I'm going to go look for that tomato paste. Give me 1 second. I'll talk to you while I'm doing it. But I was pretty sure we had one in here, but I found it. It wasn't where I told you. My bad. It fell over. I knew the general vicinity, but it had fallen into a plastic bin. So there we go. The thing I like about tomato paste is it's got such a sweetness to it. Yeah. This is one of my favorite brands. I'm gonna pop that into recycle for me, please. All right, now let's get that all incorporated. You know, Chrissy had a good idea. She said we might take a little bit out and add some dairy to it. See, because since that was one of the, like, put it in a bowl if this doesn't do it. Okay, so that's all incorporated. I can still smell it though. I can still smell the, I'm annoyed that I can still smell it, to be honest. So still there. Better, but still there. Okay. You want to grab the milk out for me? Oh, just the cheese isn't going to do it. I'm telling you, it's not. So grab a little spoonful of it. All right. So it doesn't always work the way you want it to. That's just the way it goes, right? You're going to give me a little dab of that. Buddy, you and I are going to have to learn ASL. Okay. So I'm going to do that and stir it up. See if that mellows it out at all. Christy, you're a genius. There he is helping. All right, let's double dairy it now. Put a little cheese in there. That at least makes it decent. All right, so I'm going to try. Do about half a cup. Add that to it. See how we do. Christy, you may have saved our dinner. That would be lovely. See, that's what I love. That's the other thing I love about doing this, is that we can learn so much stuff from each other, right? And sometimes what you don't think of, and yes, I know it said dairy when we looked it up, but sometimes, you know, you just kind of get blinders on. Smelling all that allspice. That's better. I'm going to give it just a little more. Maybe about a quarter of a cup there. And yes, that thinned it out a bit, but I don't care. If it makes it edible, that's what we need. Okay. Try a little bit again. Okay. That's way better. It's not perfect, but it's way better. Would you agree? Way better. Not perfect, but way better. I mean, I don't expect to get it perfect on the first try, but to say I would make it again and make these changes would be the thing. Now, the first thing I would say is I will make the change of I will use a lot less allspice next time. Lesson learned. You can always add more. So sending me a message. All right, you weasel. He said I lost the other spices with the dairy. I don't think I did. I don't know. We're going to have to play with this. I think it's at least edible now. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to have a whole bowl of that before, where now I don't mind it, especially if I put cheese on it. Are you willing to try it on a Coney? My connoisseur over there taking the different bites. And it's funny because, like I said, the since we didn't eat it for a long time, um, it tastes very salty to me now, and so I try not to put too much salt in. But so, what spice are you missing? That's my question. If I know you're going to tell me all of them, but if there's one in particular, I like it now. I would eat this now. That's my thing. So, like I said, I think Christy saved the day for me to be able to eat it as a dinner. Mm. I can still taste the cinnamon though. Yeah, right. If you don't have to throw it in the trash, it's good. There's some kind of umami in there that we're missing. I'm not sure what that is. So, I mean, I can add more salt. You don't think it needs more salt? Okay. What about Worcestershire? You think maybe Worcestershire? No. He wants to smell it. I wish you could see the faces he was making right now. It's hilarious. Just a little bit. Right. That's what I was thinking. Okay, so we're going to add just a little bit of Worcestershire and a little more beef concentrate. Is what I'm thinking. Yeah, for flavor. Honestly, the other thing I would add if I had it, I don't have it. A lot of people say that mushroom powder adds a nice umami to things. We're going to add a little more chili powder. Like I said, he feels like it's lost a lot of its spice, but I can still taste them all, whether he can taste them all or not. So, mushroom powder is something I've thought about getting. I'm not a big fan of mushroom powder or of mushrooms, but I've heard the powder is really nice to like, it just kind of boosts flavors. So, you really think more of this? All right. Pray for me. He wants more cinnamon. We are not doing clove or allspice. Nope, nope, nope. I can tell you that right now. You can't pay me to put more either one of those in there right now. I'll be honest with you guys. All right. Let's see how we did. All right, we're going to test it out again. See what we did. Again, if it sat there and cooked a little bit longer, we'd be all right. But get enough for both of us to try some. Okay. Again, better. It's just, I think with the cheese and all the other stuff that we eat, it'll be good enough. But my husband's also, he's kind of a Cincinnati chili connoisseur. He loves to eat it wherever we go. He'll get a Coney. An IT guy is taking like a bite of ours than a bite of Skyline. Would you say better, but not great? So I figured he'd say better, but not great. All right, so I'm going to try it as a 3-way. Now that we've got it at least to a point where I feel like I don't have to throw my dinner away, which is why I wanted to do one. I wanted to do just 1 pound instead of 2 in case it didn't go well. So yes, it is better. So I'm going to add a little bit more to here. So you put your spaghetti, you put your chili on top, then you go for your cheese. And when you get it, it's a mound of cheese. It's not like that. It's not, when you get it, it's mounded over your Skyline. Which the thing is, by the time you're done, it's all melted down into everything, and it's so good. So it is heavily cheesed, if you will. So I am going to give this a quick try. I'm just going to go ahead and use my spoon since I'm already right here. See how it goes with all of the combo. Because my favorite way was always to eat a 3-way, even before I was gluten-free. And now that I just use gluten-free noodles. But recently, within the last like 10 years, Skyline has started doing chili cheese fries. And that is now my favorite way to eat it, because then I don't have to worry about it also. Other than the fact that my noodles sorry, I got a noodle stuck. Other than the fact that my noodles got cold, it's actually okay, and I will eat this for dinner. So first time making Skyline for myself, might very well be my last, because like I said, I can buy it, and honestly, I can buy it for almost the same price. But also, I might start looking for other recipes to see if I can make it where I can actually duplicate Skyline Chili, because it's just not up to snuff, if you will. I honestly believe it just could be better. So maybe I'll find something that doesn't have quite as much allspice in it, and I'll look over several other recipes that I've tasted looked at in the past. My in-laws have a recipe, but theirs was the one that had 35 cloves of allspice. Now, if it just went into like a bouquet garni kind of thing, maybe that's the way to do it, so you can pull it all back out. But Friday we're going to be doing one of my favorites, Buckeye candy. And that's fun. And that recipe has definitely changed, because when I made it when I was a kid back in high school, the things we don't do anymore because we know how terrible they are for us. We literally use paraffin, guys, in our chocolate, to make the chocolate set. I don't know if you guys ever did chocolates like that, but we don't do that anymore. So we're going to be making ourselves some Buckeye candies on Friday. And we're also going to make, instead of, if you've heard of Big Mac in a bowl, we're going to do Big Boy in a bowl, because the Big Boy sandwich is also a Cincinnati staple. So, what, yeast? Interesting. I guess there's yeast in the regular Skyline. So who knows? But that's what we're going to be doing on Friday. Tomorrow, I've got I call it a local delicacy. It's called City Chicken. But it has no chicken in it. So keep an eye out if you're looking. It'll be up tomorrow. You can get that recipe, and it is so good. And anybody can make this. You don't have to be in Cincinnati. So anyway, we'll be here Friday at 5:30 live. Tomorrow's our day off, where we post a recipe or a restaurant review. And I thank you guys for hanging out with me, because it was kind of a mess there for a while. Thanks to Christy for the dairy idea that absolutely helped. And I will see you guys on Friday. Have a wonderful rest of your week. See you then. Love you guys. Be well.